Alright Pistons fans, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the final preseason game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now before we get into the game, just wanted to say, I know I didn't do a video on game 3 of the preseason, but I just wanted to let you guys know, trust and believe the content will come once the regular season starts. I'm talking about possibly 3, maybe 4 videos per day. I've been preparing a lot of stuff, a lot of behind the scenes stuff I've been working on. Just expect a lot of content once the actual NBA season begins, and I can't wait for it. So let's talk about last night's game against the Philadelphia 76ers. So the first thing that I want to get to, some people may agree or disagree with me, but I want to talk about Andre Drummond. The fans booed Andre Drummond multiple times last night. In my personal opinion, I personally felt like that was unnecessary to boo Andre Drummond, because Drummond, he was one of the few players who actually wanted to be in Detroit. And he was furious, if you guys remember, once the Pistons traded him. I remember he put out a tweet and he was livid. He was so upset that the Pistons traded him. He really wanted to be in Detroit. He loved the fans. He loved the city. So I don't really understand, the reasons why people would want to boo him. You could say that he wasn't really a good player. You could try to say that he was lazy. You can try to make all of those arguments, but at the end of the day, I felt like when Drummond was here, he was a pretty solid player. He loved Detroit. He wanted to be in Detroit, and there's no real reason to boo him. Heck, even to this day, I still got one of his jerseys. Now, if it was someone like Blake Griffin, I can understand why you would want to boo someone like Blake Griffin. That one is completely understandable. But Andre Drummond, I just don't really get it. If it was me personally and I was there, I wouldn't have booed the man. But I guess you guys can do whatever you would like to do. Now let's move on to Jeremy Grant. Tonight, Jeremy Grant led us in scoring. He got to it right and early in that first quarter, scored the ball, attacking the hole, just being aggressive, being our go-to guy. I remember Dwayne Casey talked about Jeremy Grant taking it to the next level this season and improving on what he did last year. And I completely see the vision now. Jeremy Grant is going to be our go-to guy, late in games, giving him the ball and just flat out telling him to go score the ball and win us basketball games. Tonight, he actually had a really good dunk where he got past his defender and dunked. And of course, we didn't get no love on no ESPN or any highlight page. I didn't see us getting posted anywhere. But us Pistons fans know that Jeremy Grant had a really good dunk last night. And to wrap up, the Jeremy Grant point, just a solid scoring night from him. Solid on defense as well. Jeremy Grant is that guy, and please stop putting him in these fake Ben Simmons trade rumors. It's annoying to constantly see those. Every time I go check social media, I'm always saying, oh, Jeremy Grant for Ben Simmons. It's just straight up annoying. So please stop that, and let's just enjoy Jeremy Grant right now while we have him, because he's a really, really good player. Let's talk about Isaiah Stewart. So Stewart, going up against the Sixers tonight, obviously they didn't have Joel Embiid, and Stu began to feast specifically in that third and in that fourth quarter. Isaiah Stewart was just gritty tonight, blocking a few shots here and there, fighting for rebounds. He finished with 12 rebounds on the night. And actually, let me mention his full statistics. He finished with 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. So he had a really good statistical night. And then when you talk about eye test, he just has so much grit to him tonight, so much fire and passion. In the first 2 games, he struggled a bit with rebounding and, finding his place on the court, going up against Jakob Poeltl, and then the second game against the Memphis Grizzlies, everyone on the Pistons struggled. So those first 2 games were a bit rough for him, but these final 2 games, Stu has begun to really pick it up and getting into, regular season form. So shouts out to Isaiah Stewart. I believe he will struggle with rebounding once the season comes, because he won't have any help out there on the floor. Kelly Olynyk is not necessarily someone who's prioritizing rebounding, so it's mainly going to be Isaiah Stewart out there focusing on rebounding and rim protection. So without much help, he's probably going to struggle with rebounding the basketball. The only way I could see us really helping him out is if he gets back down in the post, and then we give someone like Cade Cunningham or Jeremy Grant or somebody to have help defense on him. But outside of that, I just envision Stu struggling with rebounding until we get someone else to help him out. And it's not his fault. It's just a lack of help in terms of rim protection and rebounding. But again, to get back to tonight's game, Isaiah Stewart played extremely well tonight. I quickly wanted to mention, I believe it was in the second quarter, there was a short period of time where I felt like we turned the ball over a bit too much, with no Cade Cunningham, with no Killian Hayes. These types of things happen without, point guards on the squad. But luckily, they began to tone down the turnovers in the game. Once we got to the third and the fourth quarter, that's when we really got our things together. Let's talk about Josh Jackson, man. Josh Jackson, solid game out of him. The scoring from Josh Jackson tonight, playing his tail off, and he actually had a really good chase down block, if you will, tonight. He blocked the ball, and if I remember correctly, the next play, then we had a fast break play where we had a lob dunk. So that was a really good and fun play to see out of Josh Jackson, a Detroit guy. This year, he's going to be competing against Hamidou Diallo for minutes. If Josh Jackson wants to have heavy minutes or even get another extension with the Pistons, he has to have more nights like this where he scores the basketball and plays solid defense. So good game out of Josh Jackson, really good highlight block. Now lastly, I want to talk about Saben Lee. So Saben Lee tonight, another solid game out of him. And I criticized Saben in the first 2 games because I personally feel like Saben isn't necessarily NBA ready right now. I believe he's 1 year away from making a true impact in the NBA, but I will give Saben Lee his credit when it is due. I believe last game he had 14 points against the Knicks, and then tonight's game as well had a really solid scoring game. And as a point guard, he had a solid game as well. Something that I've noticed from Saben that he's been trying a lot more than he did last season is attempting the 3 ball. Last year, he attempted it here and there, but he didn't really shoot that many 3-pointers. But this year, you look at Summer League, he shot many 3-pointers. He didn't make much of those, but he did attempt them. And he's doing the same here in preseason. So I do respect him for at least trying and making the effort to improve his 3-point ball and trying to be aggressive. I wish someone like Killian Hayes had more of this in him. Killian, you may miss a lot of those shots, but at least attempt those so that you can know what to build off of. So Saben, I do appreciate that he's trying to make 3-pointers. Even if he's not making all of them, I just appreciate the effort of his attempt. So yeah, to wrap up this 7-point, the first 2 games of the preseason didn't really play that well, but then in the final 2 preseason games, he played much better. So I'm still standing on my point where I believe he's a year away from making a true impact, but I do see some games this season where he will be on the Pistons main roster, and he will have some nights where he comes out of nowhere and scores 14, 15, or more points for us. So yeah, that was the Saben Lee point, and that's basically everything from this game. Luka Garza didn't get in until I believe late in the 4th quarter. It was like 5 or 4 minutes left in the ball game. So Pistons fans, that's everything from last night's game, and this was a really close game, very entertaining. I would say this is probably the most entertaining game out of all the preseason games, because the first one, we beat the San Antonio Spurs by a pretty good margin. Then the Grizzlies beat us by a pretty good margin. Then in this game, that was more fun, but this game I would say was probably the most entertaining and the best game to watch as Pistons fans. So as we prepare for the regular season, I just cannot wait to see Cade Cunningham finally play with all of the guys, and Killian, seeing these 2 guys on the floor together. I can't wait. And just everybody on the Pistons, I just can't wait for the season to come. Trust and believe, once it comes, I'm going to drop multiple videos per day. I've just been preparing and waiting for this time to come. So Pistons fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Thank y'all for 3K, and I'm out.